Today on KUJH, the Douglas County Commission approved a new policy that will allow organizations to get quicker access to relief funding.
A KU student-run garden grows food for hungry Jayhawks and provides good environmental tips.
And a local vintage clothing store is making its mark on Lawrence. All this and more coming up on KUJH News.
Live from the studio in Stauffer Flint at the University of Kansas, you're watching KUJH News.
Good afternoon and welcome back to KUJH News. I'm Keegan Hewitt.
And I'm Dre Bradley.
As Douglas County organizations work to continue moving forward past the pandemic, I personally had the chance to find out more from the County Commission about their plan to make federal relief dollars more accessible. Douglas County leaders are working on a new two-lane process that will help distribute the nearly $24 million pandemic relief aid that they have received. This past week, Wednesday, the Commission unanimously passed 3-0 a new policy that would allocate 10% of that money, or roughly $2 million, towards emergency purposes. Human and health service agencies will be able to reach out to the county for federal funding and be able to receive it much quicker than the last time that federal aid was distributed.
We want to have more of a strategic process than we had with CARES Act. So with CARES Act, we had all of these organizations that were kind of applying separately. And this time around, we're hoping that for the vast majority of the funding, we can have a more strategic approach.
One of the unique strategies the county has developed is having agencies file a brief notice of intent when looking for pandemic relief, instead of having them submit grant proposals as the county did with previous federal aid.
Under the CARES Act, our biggest focus was really around some of those, the economic development, the service industry, who was hit really hard with shutdowns. I would say that looking at the American Rescue Plan funds, we really see a lot more of that long-term focus on housing insecurity and support for behavioral and mental health.
County Administrator Sarah Plinsky also said that the public health systems and Lawrence Memorial Health have reached out for some relief aid. She said the county is working continuously to be able to provide these funding as quickly as possible. She also stated that she's proud that the county is becoming more prepared for these quicker processing emergency needs as they continue to arrive in the Douglas County community. For KUJH News, this is Keegan Hewitt.
With any more advances on their new policy,
last weekend, homecoming brought visitors and alumni back to Lawrence. Local businesses and employees saw a surge unlike they've seen in months.
Douglas County leaders are working on a new two-lane process.
As the Red Raiders traveled to Jayhawk country, so did a flock of visitors. Alumni, football fans, potential students, and family members filled up hotel rooms, restaurants, and bars. Oriad General Manager Nancy Longhurst explained how it felt for homecoming to officially be back for the first time since 2019.
It's kind of surreal that we could go from hardly any business to then just being packed with students and families and alumni. It's very fun.
Although the Jayhawks lost the game, fans still wanted to celebrate. One of the famous college bars in town, Bullwinkle's, saw some crazy business. Bullwinkle's bartender Renee Barnard said homecoming weekend is unlike the rest.
Definitely busier. I think the biggest difference is that it's a different crowd. It's not college students that are all lined up. It's a lot of alumni. So that definitely just amplifies the amount of people that are coming in that weekend. We're used to serving kids that couldn't care less, but these are people that have been going to bars for a lot longer.
One thing Jayhawks have in common is a love for the city of Lawrence. Having Lawrence full again made homecoming weekend even more exciting. It seemed like almost everywhere that you turned, there was just such a great sense of energy, laughter, and a common love for KU. Standing outside of the Oriad for KUJH, I'm Emily Johnson.
A new era of student recruitment begins as KU starts construction on the Jayhawk Welcome Center.
The $21 million, 30,000 square foot building is currently being constructed on Oriad Avenue. The building will connect to the Adams Alumni Center, where the KU Alumni Association is located.
So the idea behind this facility is to really tell our story as an institution allow students and families to interact with our multiple campuses from the Welcome Center, showcase the phenomenal Jayhawk career network that we have, which is global, showcase alumni leadership and innovation, the great research that occurs at the University of Kansas, and really get students excited about becoming a Jayhawk.
The building is set to be open fall of 2022. For any more information, make sure to check out KUalumni.org.
It's the moment many parents across the U.S. have been waiting for. Vaccine advisors and the FDA are scheduled to meet next week to consider Pfizer's request to authorize its vaccine to children ages 5 to 11.
In anticipation of a yes vote, the White House is unveiling its plan to get shots in kids' arms. Daryl Forges has the details.
Vaccines for kids ages 5 to 11 could be just weeks away, pending the FDA's authorization and the CDC's usage recommendation. Now the White House is getting ready. The Biden administration says they secured enough vaccine supply to vaccinate 28 million children in that age group.
We've already enrolled more than 25,000 pediatricians, family doctors, and other primary care providers to administer vaccines. And we're working with states and localities to enroll more.
They will also offer vaccines to kids at school and other community-based sites.
Kids have different needs than adults, and our operational planning is geared to meet those specific needs, including by offering vaccinations in settings that parents and kids are familiar with and trust.
Building that trust will be a major part of the White House's rollout plan as they launch a national public education campaign that will include pediatricians, schools, and faith leaders.
We have a role to play in ensuring that parents have accurate information, and that's going to be really one of the keys to making sure that they can get the vaccine and ultimately protect their children.
Health experts say getting kids vaccinated will play a major role in ending the COVID-19 pandemic.
In the era of Delta, children get infected as readily as adults do, and they transmit the infection as readily as the adults do.
I'm Daryl Forges reporting.
Employees at Netflix participated in a walkout today. This comes after many within the company are outraged by comedian Dave Chappelle's new comedy special.
The backlash comes after Chappelle made jokes about the transgender community. Chappelle said the closer would be his last comedy special for a while.
After break, we'll take a look at how the Vintage Hawks pop-up shop went.
And how the KU Student Garden is fighting hunger.
No one takes drugs expecting to become addicted. You should know that addiction can happen to anyone because it's a disease of the brain. That also means recovery is possible. Addiction doesn't have to be permanent, and the state of Kansas is ready to assist you in every step of the way. Visit findtreatment.gov or call the Kansas Substance Abuse Referral Line at 866-645-8216.
Welcome back to KUJH. Not everyone knows this, but I'm really into vintage clothes. So when I was very excited to find out about a local black-owned business called the Vintage Hawks. I went to their pop-up shop last week and talked to the two creators of the store, as well as their mother. Take a look.
Students flooded the outside of McLean's last week at the Vintage Hawks pop-up shop. Savion and Tavion Alcorn created the store last year after COVID-19 derailed the twins' plans of summer internships.
We went from Gardner, Kansas, where our hometown's at. We drove north about 30 minutes and stopped at every single thrift store in that journey. So we drove from Gardner to Kansas City, and that took about 30 minutes, and we stopped at around 20 thrift stores, like I said, and found as many cool vintage KC Chiefs, Royals, and KU-related things in general. And we stocked up for a little bit during that summer, and then we made an Instagram account, and kind of just told our friends about it, and they're all like, that's awesome. And ever since then, kind of just kept growing.
There were also KU students, athletes, and a part of Greek life, but they know how to balance it all.
Just beyond that, definitely could say that we're motivated to use our time to the best of our ability. And whether that be sports, our business, school, and other things related, we just know to basically just execute our plans perfectly and get our time done to the best of our ability.
Their mother, Stephanie Tizinger, has a strong level of support for them.
Never was this my idea. All credit is Savion's and Tavion's idea. I just support them. If they say, Mom, I need you here, I'm there. I've already told my job, whenever my kids need me, I'm there. It's off table. They always are first, always.
Her support also includes valuable advice.
Stand by your brother's side. This is always, as their godfather would say, tell them, you are your brother's keeper. Always, always have your brother's back. And so they work well together that way.
For Xavion and Tavion, they understand how important their store is to their community.
I think it's really great that we have these shoes and opportunity to really just inspire other kids, whether they be young black boys and girls. I think it's great. We have a nephew who's 6 actually, and he was going to come here. We wanted to bring him so he can actually learn how to, like this is what Uncle Say and Uncle Tay are doing when they're in school. And with him being a young black boy too, it's like you see us doing it, you can do it too.
For KUJH, I'm Jerry Bradley.
Through their donations and partnerships, the Vintage Hawks have given back over $5,000 to the community. If you're interested, make sure to follow their Instagram at the Vintage Hawks or check out their website at thevintagehawks.com.
The Earth Campus Garden is providing food for KU students battling food insecurity and providing an opportunity to learn about sustainability and good environmental practices.
Our reporter Ryan Butler has more on this story.
Right now we're in the process of growing berries, strawberries, and raspberries, and we're growing corn, lettuce, and then we recently got some potatoes too.
So the KU Garden grows food. It teaches students from all different levels of gardening how they can produce food, and then that food later goes to the food pantry, which is the campus cupboard.
The garden gives produce directly to the campus cupboard, which is an open food pantry for KU students, faculty, staff, and affiliates located on the 4th floor of the Kansas Union.
To the campus cupboard, we've delivered about 10 pounds of vegetables per week, and we've been doing this for about 10 weeks, so about 100 pounds so far.
The KU Garden is a really big, important part of fighting food insecurity because we're doing it in a way that's really sustainable and really kind of looks at the whole grassroots effects of teaching students here on campus the ways that they can produce food from the soil that is right next to them.
Not only is the garden providing resources, it's also offering good environmental habits and sustainability applications for those that get involved.
It teaches you a lot of good environmental practices like rotating the crops and the soil. It shows you, what kind of pests to avoid, and you also get to harvest food. So if you actually go into a grocery store, you can tell which one is more healthy compared to the other.
It's about learning about your capability to provide for yourself and for other people in ways that support the environment as well as support people who are fighting food insecurity as well.
For KUJH, this is Ryan Butler.
If interested in volunteering in the KU Gardening Program, apply at the Center for Community Outreach website, cco.ku.edu.
After the break, Ryan and Camden will have all the updates on KU sports and the NFL for the week. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. It was another busy weekend for KU sports and the NFL.
It sure was. Ryan Butler has more.
Thank you, Dre and Keegan. University of Kansas alumni returned to Lawrence this past weekend for KU's homecoming, only to watch their beloved Jayhawks fall 41-14 to the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Senior quarterback Miles Kendrick came into the game for the last 2 offensive drives, down 41-0, connecting with Luke Grimm, then Lawrence Arnold for 2 touchdown passes before the game clock ultimately ran out. Freshman running back Devin Neal finished with 54 yards on 15 carries, and starting QB Jason Bean finished with 80 passing yards and an interception. The Jayhawks face an even tougher team this weekend at home, the number 3 undefeated team in the country, Oklahoma Sooners. Kickoff is at 11 a.m. on Saturday. The KU women's soccer team was riding high this past week after knocking off 2 straight ranked teams, number 23 Baylor and number 9 West Virginia. They look to continue that streak against Oklahoma and Norman, but the 2 goals from Bree Severns and Raina Childers weren't enough in the end, with the Jayhawks losing 3-2. KU hopes to bounce back Friday night in Lubbock against Texas Tech. In Major League Baseball, we are in full playoffs mode. The ALCS features two powerhouse teams, the Houston Astros and the Boston Red Sox. On Tuesday night, with the game tied 2-2 in the bottom of the ninth, the Astros exploded for a 7-run inning and finished off the Sox in Boston. The series is now tied at 2 games apiece, and the fifth game is just underway. It is currently 1-0 Astros in the second inning. The 2020 World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers found a way to avoid a 3-0 hole against the Atlanta Braves last night. In the bottom of the eighth, down 2-0 in the series and 5-2 in the game, Cody Bellinger hit a 3-run bomb to even things up. Mookie Betts followed that up with the game-winning RBI single, giving the Dodgers the win 6-5. The series stays at home in LA tonight, with the Dodgers looking to even things up at 2-2 in the series. The much-anticipated NBA regular season tipped off last night with two marquee matchups. After receiving their championship rings from the 2021 Finals, the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo took down a loaded Brooklyn Nets team featuring stars Kevin Durant and James Harden, 127-104. The Nets missed one of their top players, Kyrie Irving, who is currently suspended by the team for not getting the COVID-19 vaccine. In the Western Conference, it was Steph and LeBron, the Warriors going up against a veteran Lakers team of LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony, and more in LA. After a tight first three quarters, the Warriors pulled away in the fourth, winning it 121-114. Despite an off shooting night, Steph Curry finished with his 8th career triple-double and his first since 2016. It's been nearly 2 years since the University of Kansas announced the creation of an esports team, and Kansas Esports already has a new face leading the program. Tristan Allen has more on the story.
The Kansas Union, often referred to as the heart of campus, is home to many services, such as the bookstore and KU student ambassadors. On the 4th floor, you can find the home of Kansas Esports. On these computers, its members play a variety of different games, such as Rocket League, Overwatch, and League of Legends. Recent KU grad Danny O'Connell is the program coordinator for Kansas Esports. Growing up, O'Connell first got into esports at the age of 12.
I was always just kind of a competitive person growing up, and I was good at video games, so I just kind of mixed those two together.
O'Connell's experience in esports put him in a strong position to take over the program when he graduated.
And having someone in that position that speaks the language, can understand where we need to go, is really beneficial to the program.
One of the challenges Kansas Esports runs into is making sure players and coaches stay together during academic breaks between play, and not doing so can be detrimental to the teams in the program.
So they kind of almost grow apart, even though the season's still going on, especially in the winter break. That by the time spring rolls around, the team may not be as coordinated or as organized as they have been in the fall.
O'Connell says the best way to confront this challenge is to keep the team involved throughout the year.
We like to scrim one to two times a week with all of our teams, and that is on top of the matches they're playing. If they're not playing any matches, maybe even look to scrim 2 to 3 times a week. Just kind of keep their minds in the game and themselves organized as a team.
This is Tristan Allen reporting for KUJH.
You can follow along with Kansas Esports on their Twitch page at twitch.tv/Kansas Esports. And now we'll send it over to our NFL analyst Camden Fogo for a recap of Week 6. Camden?
Thanks, Ryan. Controversy sparked on and off the field during Week 6 of the NFL. Former Raiders head coach John Gruden stepped down after homophobic and racist emails from 2011 were released. Gruden addressed these emails at a press conference.
I can't tell you how sick I am. I apologize again to D. Smith, but I feel good about who I am and what I've done my entire life. And I apologize for the insensitive remarks I had.
Despite not having a head coach on Sunday's game, the Raiders beat the Broncos 34-24 to take the first place lead in the AFC West. The AFC West is currently in a tie for first and last place, with the Raiders and the Chargers records tied at 4-2 and the Broncos and Chiefs records tied at 3-3. Titans running back Derrick Henry had the fastest run of the season on a 76-yard touchdown Monday night. He hit a top speed of 21.80 miles per hour. Monday night's game was the third time in 6 games that Henry has scored 3 touchdowns in one game. The Titans secured a win over the Bills after the Bills went on 4th and 1 at the goal line with 22 seconds left. Controversy sparked after the Bills decided not to kick a field goal to tie the game and go into overtime. The final score was 31-34. Week 7 kicks off Thursday night with the Broncos taking on the Browns at 7:20. The Kansas City Chiefs play the Titans Sunday at noon, and the Saints play the Seahawks Monday night at 7:15. Back to you, Dre and Keegan.
Appreciate it, Camden. It sure was an exciting weekend of the NFL. I know as a Green Bay Packers fan, taking on our rivalry of the Chicago Bears, that was a huge game for us, and we took care of them, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, and Aaron Rodgers, he definitely owns them. So
For sure, for sure.
You know, I love when he just plays hard, plays to the best of his ability, and I think keeps playing like that, he might have another MVP in his trophy room. So.
For sure. I mean, I can't be biased. I know that the fans at home are probably Kansas City Chiefs fans as well, and they seem to bounce back and had a great week, so that was exciting to see as well.
Yep.
All right, we're going to be right back after the break to hear about some hot air balloons. We'll see you then.
For students searching for a way to stay active in an outdoorsy way, the City of Lawrence has bike trails running in every direction, and with the new bike share program, we can stay in shape as we tour the sights of our beautiful city. Clinton Lake is only a short 30-minute bike ride away from Daisy Hill and has the most incredible sunset location in all of Lawrence. Walking campus may give you the KU calves, but biking can give you the KU thighs. Bike Lawrence today.
Welcome back. A Lawrence couple is taking their love for wine to new heights.
KUJH's Madison Osberger Lowe shows us how the owners of a local winery are lighting up the night sky for some family fun.
Nightfall brought the moment that many had waited hours to see.
Never seen a hot air balloon before.
Vincent wasn't the only one that was looking forward to the evening. Jennifer Masters came from Kansas City to be here.
Kansas, come from the dot all the way out here to see this happen. This is my bucket list.
Gina Maltambano, owner of Z&M Twisted Vines Vineyard, says tonight's events combine her love of wine with her husband's passion for flying.
So when we first bought this property and opened as a winery vineyard, we met a customer who said to my husband, "Hey, I fly too." And he said, "Well, what do you fly?" And she said, "Hot air balloons." And he's like, I don't think that's like a pilot. So they had a great banter. So we became great friends with a gal named Lori who has Breaking Dawn, which is her balloon. And so that night, Twisted Flying was born.
Montel Bagno's husband and winery co-founder, Brian Ziegler, was a pilot during his time in the Army.
So we started this about a year ago. So it's an annual event that we do out here in the vineyard.
While Brian and Gina are making the wine, they are also building a community and bringing people together. Kids, young adults, and veterans.
I got off shift today. I headed straight over here. Got here so I could. It's pretty cool. It's very family friendly.
Here, my hope is always that when somebody comes in here, they leave feeling like they have new friends. Like I really want this to feel like a community, and that's really what Brian and Gina have tried to build here.
With the community gathered and the balloons lighting up the night sky, for KUJH, I'm Madison Osberger Lowe.
2 years now, and they hope to keep this tradition going for the Lawrence community as well to enjoy. That's all for KUJH this week. Be sure to tune in every Wednesday at 4 p.m. for KUJH News, and follow us on our socials at Twitter at KUJH_KU and on our Instagram at KUJH News. Thanks again, and I'm Keegan Hewitt.
And I'm Dre Bradley. Have a great evening.